Let's go.
Good morning, everyone. I feel like as American people, we tend to forget how the tiniest of our actions can create the biggest amount of change. And this relates to the topic of food waste, or, and how we waste food or we waste things without even batting an eye. We eat a plate of food and we leave like half of the food there because we don't like eating anymore, or we buy a bottle of water and we don't finish the water fully and we just throw it out because it seems like an inconvenience to us. And I'm not gonna lie, I've done this. I'm pretty sure everyone has. And but now that I realize how dangerous, how costly food waste is to us and to our American society, it's time that I and the American people change their habits and reduce food waste in the country, because we throughout the world as Americans are leading demographic in food waste throughout the world. So I propose that the American people do their best to reduce food waste for the sake of the economy, the environment, and society in general. So food waste again is just wasting food that has already been bought, but we tend to not think about the economic effects of our food waste. So according to the Atlantic, a journal about consumer products, the United States has been leading the world in food waste, and approximately 50% of the food bought and has been thrown out, which, if you round up the numbers, and this leads to about $160 billion of food bought to go to waste, because we seem to not be able to finish our food, or we buy food that seems a little bit brown and we tend to throw it away because we think it's not healthy, or we look at expiration dates and we don't we follow them even though we know the food is good. So if you look at the numbers, $160 billion of food, of money being wasted. Think about the amount of services and benefits we can help the country with this amount of money, but no, it's being wasted on our waste. Now I'm going to talk about how food waste affects our environment, and like I said, we tend to think our small little actions don't contribute to as much as a really big amount of change. But according to the National Geographic, two scientists that write for the National Geographic, Cole and Estroff, say that the environment and how food waste affects the environment is one of the most critical things changing our planet and affecting our planet in the worst of ways. So food waste and food in general being wasted and thrown in landfills take up most of the space in landfills, and when they decompose in landfills with other products, metals, dirt, rust, paper, they emit this gas called methane, which is, according to the National Geographic, 20 times which according to the National Geographic is 20 times more deadlier than carbon dioxide. That methane gas goes up into our atmosphere, which escalates the progression of climate change, global warming, by adding on to the greenhouse gases, and it also, like, what is it? And compared to, like, if you see this picture right here, food waste does make up over 20% of what we waste, but it also means we're wasting water as well, which is a finite resource, as well as the food that we eat, which is also a finite resource. And this is how food waste affects our environment. Next, I'm going to talk about how if we help reduce food waste, it affects our society. According to the Atlantic, a columnist named Adam Chandler makes this correlation with how people waste food based on the way they see it. If a banana is like a little bit of brown, if a tomato is a bit bruised, you tend to just throw out the whole tomato and not use it fully. This Adam Chandler correlates this to how American people view things as needing to be perfect. If a piece of food, a piece of meat doesn't look right, doesn't look perfect, they tend to throw it out. And this shows how society's warped views of perfection and their inner narcissism affects, our consumption of food and things that we need. Also, according to the Atlantic, because of our food waste, government administrations are trying their best to make sure food is used efficiently and to the full of its uses and benefits. Because, like in the picture before, about 50 tons of food have been thrown away. That 50 tons of food can, help others in need, help, the homeless people in the streets that don't have anything to eat. And according to Sally Greenberg, a columnist for the Huffington Post, she said about 1 in 7 Americans don't know what their next meal is coming from, and that's because of the amount of food we waste. That's good and efficient for people to eat, and because 1 in 7 Americans are insecure about what they don't have and what they don't eat because of our own waste, you can see how it's drastically affecting our society. How people out on the streets are hungry because of our own waste, because of our fruitless and our just senseless abuse of like food that we tend to neglect. So I mentioned, so to conclude, I mentioned that or how we need to, as American people, need to reduce our food waste because we're leading the world in wasting food, because our economy is slowly plummeting because of the billions of dollars we waste in unused food. How environmentally we're contributing to the damage of the ozone layer and contributing to climate change throughout the world, and how socially our American people are hungry in the streets, how they can't seem to find a meal to eat because of our own negligence. So this type of change, it starts with us. If we change our daily habits, use our food, finish our plates, compost the things we don't need to eat, buy food more efficiently instead of just thinking that we don't have enough when we actually do. So I hope my speech persuades you to kind of change your habits and change your lifestyles. Thank you.